We are joined right now here at Aropl Studios with a very dear and beloved sister of ours, and that is Sister Donna Sinclair. How are you, Donna?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We are so extremely honored and delighted to be meeting you today, to have you come over to Aropl Studios. We're excited to share with the viewers your story and how it is that you came about to pledging your allegiance to the Imam of the time, and that is the riser of the family of Muhammad, Abdullah Hashim Abbas Sadiq. We are people that say that he has brought a new covenant. And there are believers all around the world from different parts of the world, from different backgrounds. And you yourself, Donna, you are someone who is from England, but you live in Scotland. And you've had quite a life, quite a rich life, different experiences. Very amazing story. How did you get here? How did you get to this point?
Oh, it's been a journey, but today has probably been the best day of my life. It's been absolutely amazing. And I'm a little shell-shocked from it. I feel like I've been searching for God my whole life. And nothing quite made sense before I heard the words of Aropl Sadiq, from him is peace.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, everything has just slotted into place. And I feel like for the first time, I'm where I need to be. And I'm doing what I need to be doing. And it's been an absolutely amazing day.
That's so good to hear. I mean, it is inspiring to hear that, isn't it? We have believers in different countries, and then you have you yourself living here in England, in the United Kingdom, but you've come over and you've taken the time to actually see and meet the believers, because you've been a believer for a bit now.
Yes.
But you made a big leap of faith to actually do that. And if you could just share your origins and how you started on your journey towards God.
Of course, I was raised Catholic and spent most of my life as Catholic, but I just didn't believe that Jesus was God. And there was lots of things in the Catholic Church which seemed more ritualistic and quite frankly false. And so, not knowing anything about Islam, I thought, well, Judaism must be true because God is true. And if Christianity is false, therefore it must be Judaism. And I converted to Judaism.
What an interesting step to take, by the way. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
And it was a long process as well. It wasn't an easy process to do. And I have so much love for the Jewish people, and they treated me wonderfully. But I miss Jesus. And when I explored the Torah from a Jewish perspective, and I looked at Jesus from a Jewish perspective, I was like, this man is the Messiah. We're waiting for the Messiah to come. We've missed him. You know, this is the Messiah. So I became what I would say I identified as a Messianic Jew. I did all the Jewish rituals, the Shabbat service. I attended a synagogue, shul, we would call it. But I believed in Jesus. Not that he was God, but I believed in Jesus, that Jesus was the Messiah. And I was content with that for a while, but again, it was still like a pulling, and that's when I stumbled across Aropl Sadiq, which was probably the best thing to ever happen to me.
It's really interesting that, you had this sense, you knew that Jesus wasn't God, but you also knew that he was the Messiah. So you kind of had this instinct and you were looking for the truth, and you weren't really going to be satisfied with like a false answer, basically.
Yeah.
I think when you feel, when you're genuinely searching for God, you can't be satisfied with anything false, because nothing but the truth will do, because it's just not right.
Yeah.
And I've now found the truth, and it's been a long journey, but it was worth it every step of the way to get here.
I think it's very inspiring that you started off at one point in your life and you were not satisfied by having no answers to your questions, essentially.
Yes.
And a life that you have yourself described as not very fulfilling, because it seemed to have been just an empty set of rituals. We've talked before about this, Donna, and we've talked at length, and I really loved how you described it. I loved how you brought up the fact that there has to be life in the religion. It has to be a living religion. Can you explain to the people listening what you mean by that, and how can a religion be described as dead or living?
If a religion is purely just in books, it becomes more of a history. Who do you turn to when you need a definitive answer for a question? It's wonderful reading the Torah. It's wonderful reading what Moses went through and how he led his people through that particular time. But who's leading us now? In 2024, who is the person of God? Who is the man of God who's leading us now?
Yeah.
And that's a living religion. That's God is still with us. He's still guiding us. He still has a plan for us. We just need to follow the man of God. And the man of God is Abraham Sadiq. From him is peace. And I'm so honoured to be here today. It's been amazing.
And we're so happy to have you here. And yeah, I love what you're saying, because it really just makes no sense when you look at the Abrahamic religions. It's always been a story about a prophet or a man who's guiding the people. And why is that missing from religion today?
Exactly. Why should it be missing? And it wasn't meant to be that way ever.
It makes no sense that God just stopped leading us and said, just have these books, these corrupted books, and you'll be fine. God didn't do that to us, and he hasn't done it to us. Unfortunately, we've rejected him time and time again. But I feel now, for the first time, we're on the right path, and I want other people to join us.
So how would you describe the change now in your life? So you were living your life as a Jewish person, and you were actually complying with all the rituals and the laws and the teachings.
I would, to the best of my ability. I won't ever pretend I was hitting it 100%, but I was my first Jew who believed in Jesus. Again, not that Jesus was God, that Jesus was the Messiah, but that's how I would have identified. And like I said to you, it was more going through the motions. Yeah. It was just, what prayers you say upon waking, you know the prayers you say when you go to sleep, and it's how much Hebrew can you memorize? Are you eating everything exactly how you should be? Are you washing in this particular way? And it's an emptiness, because you're honouring the rituals for the ritual's sake. You're not honouring God.
Wow.
There's no personal connection with God. And you're trying to reach God through a wonderful prophet, but who has passed thousands of years ago. And that's a very difficult thing to do. Whereas the man is living today. And to know that the man is living today, to have somebody to serve today, to have somebody who has the answers today, is transformative. It transforms religion into from a history book to a living, breathing movement meant to help the whole of mankind.
Very well said.
Yeah, very well.
Movement that's meant to help mankind. And that's exactly what this call is, isn't it? That's the call of Abu Sadiq and the call of Imam al-Mahdi. Yes. And now you're a believer in this call. And your everyday life must have changed dramatically, because your stances are different and everything's different.
I'm happier and more hopeful because my trust is in God. I'm less worried about myself because I have somebody to serve, and I have a purpose in my life to serve, and somebody who is so much more important than I am. And I feel like I owe it to my brothers and sisters out there who haven't yet found him to do my best to try and introduce them to him, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm going to try and do from this day forth, is just tell everybody about his message, and to because we are not exclusive, we are inclusive. We want more people to join us. We want people to ask questions and to come.
Definitely,
and that's what we want to do.
That word exclusive, let's talk about that for a bit, because you have lived a sort of lifestyle where perhaps it wasn't as inclusive as this call is. And could you comment on that a little bit? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, in Judaism, we are very much kind of like our own people. And that's how I viewed myself. We were something different. The rules were for us, not for other people. I couldn't eat pork, but you could eat pork. They're not your rules. And you think, why would God make rules just for one group of people, but not for another group of people?
Good question.
And it's almost elitist when you think of it that way. Like, I need to rest on the Sabbath, but don't you worry, And it's quite, and it moves you to think to yourself, like, I can't believe I thought that way. Of course the rules would be for everybody. It's, God has come, maybe at that particular time it made sense to have the Israelites, in a world full of pagans, but God has introduced himself to us many years ago and through many prophets. Why would it be exclusive now? It makes no sense. It's almost an arrogance. And now I see that God is for all of us equally, and the message from God is from all of us equally. And just walking around here today and seeing probably every different nation, every different background, all hugging and embracing and so happy and welcoming, it's proof that humanity, we really can live together. We really can. We're just choosing not to. But if we're following the man of our time, the imam of our time, we really can live together.
That's so powerful. And you're absolutely right. That's a great description of our community, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's people of different nations here, different backgrounds and cultures, and you
Yes.
find them all around, and we're all one family.
Absolutely.
So when you walked in here and you saw the community, and we were so happy to see you, how did you feel seeing what you saw? Was it what you expected?
I don't know what I expected, if I'm honest. I don't think I thought too much about what was going on in the background. I watched the videos and I really thought about the content, but I didn't realise the hard work that went in, you know, behind the scenes, and how many people are involved. And that was quite like amazing. But also hearing like the laughter and people sitting together and having a chat, and, you know, the children play. It's wonderful. It's just, it's the community. It's kind of blown my mind a bit. I found it quite overwhelming. It's just a loving group of people who care so much about each other, but care so much about the man they're serving and God. And it's a very unique experience. I've loved every second of it.
And the man from God, being Abu Sadiq, you've talked a little bit about how we can't achieve these great things without him, and that with him we can have that peace and that unity and that tolerance. And I think it's a necessary thing to bring up here, because many people out there, perhaps they have that apathy, they have that numbness, where they don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah, and it's very interesting as well. You also mentioned that, you know, since you found Abu Sadiq from Him His Peace and found this call, you have a different sense of purpose
Yes.
than you had before. And, you know, like, how would you compare that basically to your life on the outside world?
I care so much about what I do to serve others now. It's about like you before me. Whereas before, you know, it would have been, is this good for me? Does this benefit me? And it wouldn't have necessarily been intentional, but that was just more how you go about life.
Yes.
Now you realise that this life really is kind of an illusion. It really, you can't take anything with you. What is money? What is, you know, it's nothing when you consider what the aim of it is, and that is to reach God. You know, it's it's going to be a long time when we're dead. So let's make the most of our time here, not in seeking worldly goods, but in how do we serve God while we're here? How do we prove to God we're worthy of Him? And that's by serving Abu Sadiq from His Peace. So it's changed my way of looking at life.
Yeah,
That's
really
so
beautiful.
nice. It really is, because it just shows, once you found that your purpose is to serve the man that God appointed, you're essentially serving humanity, because it's in his ideals and in his goals and ambitions that the world can become a better place.
Yes.
And we can be united, and we can unify what we know to be true through his guidance. And that's something that you mentioned earlier today. We were talking in the Holy Basilica.
Yes.
And we were looking at the portraits of the various prophets and messengers and saints that are on there. And something you said that I found quite beautiful when we were discussing the Eastern prophets, and you were mentioning how there's even this kind of bias against the Eastern prophets in the Abrahamic mainstream understanding, where you shouldn't think about their teachings. But why not, when they did come from God?
It's almost like you're indulging in something that you shouldn't. It's the Abrahamic religions, and everything else is pagan. You know, so even if you find beauty in Lao Tzu and in Buddha, and so many inspiring qualities, you can't praise them because they're not one of the prophets. And when you realise how they actually do fit in with God and they are prophets, it makes so much more sense. And you realise how mankind, we're really a jigsaw puzzle that Abu Sadiq is putting together. You know, we all have a little piece, and he's putting all the pieces together for us. But some of us are so desperate to cling to our piece of that picture that we don't want to see the rest of it. We just want our piece, and that's it. And I'm just putting my life and my soul in his hands, and I'm going to let him show me the picture.
That's how it should be.
Yes.
That's how. Imagine if everyone were to do that, if the people were to actually embrace the teachings and to read the gospel, the goal of the wise, and understand what it is that the rise of Abu Sadiq is bringing, then more people would think the way you do, Donna, where there is hope for a better world and we can live together in harmony without having any of this intolerance and this trouble that we see out there. And speaking of the goal of the wise, of course, you've read that Holy Gospel and it's shown you a lot. For example, what you brought up here, which is the unifying of the faiths and how the prophets and messengers are all essentially connected.
Yes.
So what did you think of that gospel when you read it?
It was amazing. It was, it completely changed my perspective. I mean, the first 7 doors were fascinating, and they really filled in all the gaps. But it went beyond that. It went beyond subjects that were taboo before, you know, reincarnation and talking about how life really fits together in the universe. And it just blew my mind. It's like there's so much knowledge and wisdom, and I would recommend to everybody to read it and just download it and read it, because it will change your perspective on everything.
Yeah.
You know, and it's free to download, so just download it and read it and you won't regret it.
It really is an amazing book, and it's so transformative. You yourself, though, you've listening to Donna's story has been so amazing, right?
Yeah.
And there have been all these phases in your life that you've gone through. You've been Catholic, and then you went into Judaism.
Yes.
Then you stumbled across, as you put it, that video of the riser of a Sadiq, and it you couldn't just forget about it. You wanted to delve deeper. But you've also been a police officer.
Yes.
Right. And now you're also applying to be a carer. So you've been doing a lot, Donna. You've been quite busy.
Yes. I think I started as a police officer too old in my life. I couldn't chase after anyone. I was too old. But I think I've always liked serving people. Mm-hmm. I think I'm much more suited to doing what I'm doing now, working with elderly people. I think it's much more in my nature. But it was a good experience. And if I managed to do some good, then that's fantastic. You know, you can only hope that you did some good. And, you know, I really hope I did. But my life now is very different. I wouldn't recognise myself 10 years ago, I don't think. It's a completely different way of looking at life. I'm living a completely different life. And I'm much happier. Actually, I'm much more fulfilled and much more content, which is a lovely way of living.
And why do you think that is?
I have purpose, but beyond that, I know God.
Yeah.
I think that's what more can you ask for in life.
I think that's really interesting, you know, what you're saying about having purpose, and, you know, especially like in the worldly life when we're living and we don't have this connection, or we're following like, as you say, like a religion that's not live, you know, it doesn't have that living messenger in it. It's really hard to have a sense of purpose and actually know. And I think this is how a lot of people are feeling, you know, they're feeling lost at the moment, right? So it's really important just to get the message out. And, you know, what would you say to people who were in your position maybe a year or two ago before you found out about Al-Sadiq, from him his peace?
I would say you won't look back. I would say you probably feel lost. You're probably looking for reassurance in your religion that you've never found, and unfortunately you never will. There's a reason why you feel insecure, because God is trying to push you towards the truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why you feel insecure. That's why you feel that there's something missing, because there is. But that feeling of insecurity, as unpleasant as it may be now, and as unpleasant as it might be to feeling lost, if you know you're lost, you start looking for directions.
Yes.
Exactly.
How to get home. And that's God calling you to come home.
Wow, I got chills
Yeah.
listening to that.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful way of describing it. Exactly. That feeling itself is guidance.
That feeling of uneasiness, like it's better just to accept, okay, we're lost right now. Like, which way should we go?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you did. And you had this instinct, you know, that there was issues with the religions that you were following. You felt like something isn't right here, and you followed that instinct, and it led you to the truth. And yeah, we're so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. It's hard giving up what you've known. It is.
It is very hard.
But the truth remains the truth. So do you want familiarity, or do you want the truth?
Exactly.
You have to choose.
You have to choose, and those who are sincerely looking for God and the truth, they will find their way at the doorstep of the riser of a Sadiq. And today, you had a great experience as well, where you did get to meet him.
I had the best experience of my life today. As you girls know, I had to take a minute afterwards. It was, having met Abu Sadiq, from him his peace, now in person, he is more wonderful than I ever thought. And the kindness and the compassion and the wisdom, it literally flows from him. It left me very emotional. I'm not the most emotional of people, but it left me on the verge of tears, because meeting the man of God in the flesh, you know, it's something I can't describe, but it's the most beautiful experience of my life. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. Not ever.
It was lovely watching you meet him, and I know that for you, this is that moment where you know you've met the man that God put his spirit in. And that's such
life-changing.
That is life-changing. And you recognize that, you know that, and it is that realization and that understanding that's led you to go out there, and you've been posting posters all over the place. And with his face on it, with the QR code that leads to the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel. And you're really trying your best, aren't you, to make the world wake up to that and realize it, just as you have.
I mean, even before I've had what I've had today, but now so even more so, I want everyone to experience what I have today. The most beautiful feeling is to experience pure joy and beauty and want everybody else to have that too. And that's really and truly what I want. I want everybody to know what I knew today. And that's what I would say to everyone. It all started for me from just watching videos and listening to him talk. And I'd like it to start for other people too, however they find their way, as long as they find their way, you know, and we'll support them every step of the way in any way we can. But I really hope people start their journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, as a believer in this cause and in this movement, you have recognized also that being a believer is unlike how it says in the mainstream religions. It's not just a matter of having a belief and doing nothing with it.
Yes.
Rather, it has something to do with action. And the Rise Aropl Sadiq has made it very clear where he says faith without actions is dead.
Yes.
So you have actually put that into practice by going out there and trying to spread the word and to be part of the movement. Could you comment for the viewers out there why supporting actively is so crucial to our faith?
It's crucial because we want to share it. We want everybody to know the truth. And we need to get the truth out there. We want everybody to be part of this. We want everybody to not die the death of ignorance. We want everyone to know the man of God, to know Aropl Sadiq, from him is peace, to know the riser. We don't want people to miss out on this beautiful opportunity. So even if it's putting something on a lamppost and people can scan to bring people to the channel, we're doing everything we can to try and get the word out to as many people as possible. And I'll do it in whatever way I can do, even if it's something small. I'll just continue trying. Just if I help one person reach the truth, it's worth it.
I'm sure your sincerity will bear fruit, Donna, and absolutely many will find the truth thanks to your efforts. And I cannot express enough how delighted we've been having you over today, and how grateful we are that you took the time to meet us and that you're here right now at Aropl Studios with us.
It's been beautiful. It's been such a wonderful day. Everybody has. It's so much love. You enter another room, it's full of love, and it's wonderful. If only humanity could be like this outside these walls. I mean, but it could be.
It could be.
It could be.
And this is the whole point, right? This is what we're doing to, the whole point is to build God's divine just state on earth, to have God ruling over earth and to have paradise on earth and to build that and to get away from this, disturbing way that we see the world has turned into over the last, over the history and everything that it's become.
Exactly. Well, Donna, I really thank you for joining us today and for expressing the way you have, your faith, your religion, your dedication. And I'm sure many out there are very inspired right now because Donna is a lady that has actually taken a step towards what she believes in. And that courage and that bravery is exactly what it takes to make the world a better place. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to everyone for tuning in for today. We're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you again later on another program of I Found the Mahdi.